additional 35 million gallons. So we made a lot of progress in a lot of different areas. This budget process really began with the process that we went through developing a 10-year capital improvement program. Not to say that it's going to be followed in detail, but it does set down a plan and a direction for our community that's never been done before. We have had 6 different meetings so far working on budget workshops. We had a community engagement event, and the budget, all 137 pages with including a glossary, has been put online if anybody wants to take the time to look at it. The increase in the middle, a 2 mil levy increase, really goes back to last year when we increased the mill levy by 6 mils, and we've spent this year not just $1 million, we're going to spend $1.4 million on street repair and improvements. Our streets are all graded A through D, actually D-. So we're working on the D- streets, and we're also going to do some work in the St. Andrews area and start working on some of the B- streets so they can become C and D streets. I think that this 2 mil increase will possibly be followed. We talked about a 10 mil increase last year. The only other increase in the projections that we have, and we do have revenue projections on page 31 of our budget, that next year we'll possibly go for another 2 mil increase. After that, based on our projections, we won't need to increase the mill levy going forward. So in addition to taking account for the streets as we build our revenue base, we're increasing our staff. We're going to build a new public works building. We've had 7 public works directors in the last 20 years in our public works department. That building was built over 70 years ago. It's really kind of embarrassing. The equipment has been bad. We've started a process of leasing some equipment this year, so people that work for us will have a nice place to work. The equipment will be stored properly. And at this point, we have 49 or 50 miles of streets to take care of, and as we continue to grow, that number is going to continue to increase. So this budget, this 2 mil increase isn't just about streets, but it's also about developing a cash flow that is necessary over the next 4 or 5 years to be able to pay for the things that we're borrowing money for today. There's been a lot of time and effort put into this, and I know we're always happy to comment and visit if anybody has questions on the budget. I know Brick's going to be making the presentation this evening on the budget and the revenue neutral rate and those things. So I just hope everybody appreciates that we're trying to do things in a logical, data-driven way that will maximize our revenues and we spend our money wisely. This last year, we changed property insurance carriers. We saved $50,000 doing that. We picked up some savings also on the health insurance by the changing how that's done. We're looking at making some changes on how we print and disclose our public information that can provide a significant savings. So we've squeezed the budget on both ends. There were things in the budget process. This is the first time that the actual staff had involvement in the budget. So everybody had requests. Some of those requests didn't get included in this year's budget, and all that's detailed in that 137 pages of budget documentation. Also, the budget was changed this year to realign it more in line with departments. The way the budget was handled before there wasn't anything wrong with it, but this is a tremendous upgrade too in terms of tracking funds and being able to look at each department and each area within the budget. That should make it a little easier going forward to clarify how we're spending funds. So I just wanted to make those comments. I just appreciate the staff and everything that they've done, and we've got like 4 different opportunities for time for comments. So we'll have our general public comment, but we'll also have a public hearing on the bond that's going to go from temporary notes to regular notes. We'll have a hearing on the revenue neutral rate. Also, then there'll be a hearing for adopting the budget, and then we'll have a hearing on the ordinance for Willow Creek, and we probably should have a hearing on the hearing because we'll have so many hearings. With that, I will open citizen comments. If you want to come forward and just make some general comments, if your comments relate specifically to those other things, you can speak now or you can wait. So the floor is open for 3 minutes and we'll listen. If you want to dialogue or have other questions, we'll be happy to visit with you at some point in time after the next meeting. Being left-handed, I'm left-handed. I was noted the other day that we have a lot more creativity within us than the right-handers. Just so that you know.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shane from Rusted Bean, and so I just learned today, so I thought I would see about you guys what your opinions are. But so sewer and water are in one bill. No problem. The dilemma that I have is we're a water-based company. And we go through, give or take, 9,000 gallons just as coffee every month, 9 to 10,000. Very little of that is ever dropped into the sewer with the exception of the sinks. Okay? Then we sprinkle to make sure we have a nice looking yard as everyone the patrons walk or drive by, whichever. That costs money. No problem on the water side. My dilemma is the sewer. Okay? The sewer bill for last month is the water bill times 2. In other words, if the water bill is $300, then we get $300 capped on the sewer, it's $600. For both of them together. The problem is most of our water is used to make our landscaping material. So it's something you guys need to, in my opinion, look at for the general residential or whatever. But let's go back to the winter months. I can tell you what our usage is then, as well as the sewer. No problem. It was $64, not $300. So that's something that I got told that I need to bring to the council. So here I am. So at the end of the day, you guys want businesses to thrive. We're a water-based business. And so with that being said, when the water bill got hiked up, I dealt with that, no problem. But now that I found out that I'm paying for sewer, and this all stemmed because we had a water leak. So that's why I'm involved in it as much as I am. Because during the summer, we utilize about 40,000 gallons sprinkling, which I did not, that seems unreal until you start adding it up per zone of the amount of time that it's sprinkled. So needless to say, one month we used 80,000 because we had a pretty bad leak. So again, I'm not complaining about the water prices, it's the sewer cost that's tied to that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got another lefty coming in.
Another person has a right line.
I'm Josh Blanding, 401 Richard Road. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, and fellow citizens. I come before you today with a heavy heart and a deep concern for the future of our beloved city of Goddard. I speak not as an individual, but as a voice for many who feel that they have been unheard, and those whose lives are becoming harder with each passing day. Our community is filled with hard-working families who have already been stretched to their breaking point, and I implore you today, on behalf of these citizens, to carefully reconsider the proposal to raise the mill levy. The reality of the situation is simple yet undeniable. Our community is tired. We are tired of carrying the weight of escalating costs of living, tired of worrying about how we will afford to keep the lights on, how to pay for groceries, or how to keep our families safe in our own homes. Many of us are working multiple jobs, but it still feels like we're falling behind. We are overburdened and our resources are stretched thinner than ever. Our community is not a wealthy one, and the truth is that many of us are living paycheck to paycheck. Raising the mill levy will only deepen the burden on those who are already struggling to get by. And this isn't just a number on a piece of paper. It's about families, seniors on fixed incomes, and young adults who are desperately trying to make a life for their children. For many, it is a choice between paying the basic necessities or continuing to make ends meet. The fear of falling further behind looms larger over us all. Let us not forget that the citizens of Goddard have already spoken. We voted no on the school bond, and we did so not out of the lack of care for our children or our community's future, but out of necessity. We did so because we cannot afford to shoulder any more burdens. Our homes, our families, and our livelihoods are already at stake. We voted no because we need to be heard, because we are not just asking for our voices to matter, we are pleading for a chance to simply survive and to live with dignity. We understand the importance of investing in our city's growth and future, but we also must recognize that there's a balance. Growth cannot come at the expense of our community's well-being. We all want Goddard to thrive, but we must be mindful of the human cost that accompanies every decision in which we make. The residents here are not just a line on the tax form, but they are our neighbors, our friends, and our families. They are the ones who day after day give so much to this community in the form of hard work, love, and commitment. And yet, they are the ones who now fear for the futures of their children. I only got a little bit left. May I continue? Is that okay?
Sure, I'll give you
I appreciate that.
speed it up.
All right. I ask you to think about the children growing up here in Goddard. They see their parents struggling, and they hear the conversations about how the cost of living is spiraling out of control. Our children deserve a future filled with hope and possibility, not one clouded with financial instability. They deserve the freedom to dream without the constant shadow of financial hardship looming over them. And as city leaders, you have the power to protect and uplift this community, and I believe you will make the right choice. The decision to not raise the mill levy will be a gesture of compassion and understanding. It will send a powerful message that you hear the struggles of your people, and that you value the well-being, and that you will fight for a future where every citizen has a fair chance to thrive. We are all in this together, and Goddard is more than just a city. It is a community of individuals who care for one another, who share the same dreams and hopes for a better tomorrow. Please do not let the weight of the mill levy fall heavier on those already carrying too much. Instead, let us move forward together in unity with understanding and hope for a brighter future for us all. As always, thank you guys for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deb Cuban. I live in Cloverleaf Farms. We've lived in 2 different homes in Goddard for the last 11 years when we retired and came up here because we didn't want to live in a big town. We wanted a small town. I'm complaining about the taxes also. Our daughter and son, who had built just a house away from us have already moved out. They moved to Mount Hope because the taxes kept going up and up and up. We have been reassessed. I know it's not you at Sedgwick County, but everybody in Sedgwick County is being reassessed. Our house was reassessed up $50,000 this year, which means at least $900 to $1,000 a year. Our taxes are going up. Now we're looking at another 2 mill levies and another 2 mill levies and another 2 mill levies. And when does it stop? And when do we stop letting everybody that just feels like it come in and build whatever they want to build? We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the water. And of course, you're buying up, you're spending money to get more of that so we can let everybody else come in and build. I don't understand it. And it angers me. I guess that's really all I have to say. That I think you're making houses pretty much unsellable as you raise these taxes up. Thank you.
Good evening. I won't be here long, so I'll make up for the time that he went over by just making a simple observation. Before I retired, there's something that goes around, you see it, I know all of you see it every day. They're pricing seniors out of their homes. That's real. That is real for a single retired woman, such as myself, who left Wichita to get away from all the hubbub and the whatever. And I don't live in a fancy house. I live right down here in Old Town Goddard next to the trail. I love it there. But I'm not going to be able to stay there. I figure in 5 years I'm going to have to sell my house and live off of the proceeds from the sale of my home to pay rent somewhere. My home is paid for, but my taxes are going up so bad and so fast. I'm not going to be able to afford to stay in it. And I appreciate you listening and understanding. Everybody has a different story, but I'm just speaking on behalf of the seniors who have that one single income, which is not much, with the price of everything else going up, and 2 mill levies may make the difference between me being able to stay in my home 7 to 10 years or having to sell in 4 to 5. Thank you.
What was your name now?
Teresa Soria.
Hello, City Council, Vice Mayor,
Sir.
Police Department. The Police Department is a good subject. Okay, we've got what? How many thousands of new homes being built here in the Goddard School District? Does anybody know?
We're gonna listen to you talk. We're not gonna dialogue.
Okay. You have this influx, you got building an airplane. As a real estate investor, which I've been for over 2 decades, as a licensed contractor since 1977, I'm wondering if we're building an airplane here that somebody can't fly without taking everything and complete accountability on their projection. All the families that are coming here understand they have kids. They have to go to school. Schools have to be built, staff has to be built more, probably even some factors that need to be taken in is, infrastructure, streets, businesses that are going to come and maybe make a new market square. They're going to be taxed. They're going to be taxed. I'm a numbers guy, and I know that when you come in here and you build these new homes, and when they build them, I don't know who's going to move in them. That's irrelevant, as long as they pay for the homes. either rent or buy. But there's things called specials when these homes are bought. That's a liability to the homeowner. So basically, the roads and everything else like that, that's supposed to be paid in those taxes. You know, these taxes that are going up for all the citizens of Goddard, which have been here for a long time, especially like the retired folks, they can be eventually priced out of their home by over-taxation. The police department's gonna have to be expanding because they got more streets they're gonna have to patrol. In the near future, it's coming. I hope that y'all are just really taking real careful mind of what you're doing as far as who you're inviting. Can you support? Can you get, who are you gonna get the money from? Obviously, you're gonna get it from the citizens here that have been here for a long time that had no idea that this was coming in their back door. So it's like they just gotta pay the fiddler so far, maybe, whether they like it or not. Me, on the other hand, I'm a real estate investor. I don't have to stay in Goddard. I can move on. I'm not retired and tied down to real estate, never have been. I move every 2 years anyways. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
What was your name, sir?
Bob Copeland. Bob Copeland.
On the back row,
Yeah.
almost there.
You're fine.
Kevin Beekson from, I live over on Richard Road, and I have some property on, West South Street. Well, Josh did a pretty good job of talking to you about how things are going with taxes and all that, and the burdens on people. I kind of grew up in a different mindset. I've sent both of my children to college, and I paid for it. I did that by not having the nicest things around. And there comes times when you have to look at the big picture and say, what's the best for my family, and what's the best for that I want. I'd love to have the big $40,000, $50,000 trucks. I never did. I always had $10,000, $12,000 trucks. I paid for what was necessary. I'm very proud of what I've done. I don't see this out of this council right now. It's like we're patting ourselves on the back for how much we can spend, how much new stuff we can have. This isn't Derby. It's not gonna be Derby. The taxes are just right there with Derby, and we're not close. I know you don't interact. Okay, but we aren't close to something like Derby, but we're paying the same. Real close to the same. You might need to step back and think, what do we really need versus what do we really want? Because I don't see that when I look at the things around here. I see terrible streets, Main Street. You guys know there's all those bumps you hit going down Main Street, ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. We're not even worried about that though. We're worried about a new park, a new city building, a new this, a new that. If you can't take care of what you got, it won't do you any good to spend a bunch of money on something else, because it's gonna be the same 5-10 years from now, because you're only looking at what can I have new. Kind of a generational problem. Some of us are old enough to know that that doesn't work. So think about it as we're spending all this money and making all these neat things about that and what you really have to have. Because I don't think we've thought about it that way here. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We've got a couple more public hearings to go.
I'm Linda Eastman, and I live at 201 Pine. And I can't speak and write at the same time. At least I should have read it. And over the last 20 months, I've been coming to the city council meetings and getting to know city council members and the staff. And I've been very supportive of you. and I still am very supportive of you. Not in all your decisions, but I am supportive of you, because I would not want to do your job, and I appreciate the fact that you're willing to do it. And Councilwoman Naomi Leonard and I have served on a committee together, so I got to know her a little bit better. And a couple others of you I've gotten to know over the months a little bit better. And I know your hearts. And your hearts are to do what's right by the people. Over the last several months, I've been noticing a little change in direction, I think. That it's more about how much money can we get. We can get this money over here, we can get this money over there. We can do this and get extra money down the road, maybe. It's promised to us, but we don't have promises that can be kept. And I think I'm seeing less and less of what can I do for the people. And I've talked to one of you in the past, in conversation, that encouraging them that you speak for us, and we depend on you to speak for us. Because you're making the final decisions. The planning commission isn't making the final decisions. They're pushing things your way and saying, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. And you make the final decision. The staff, let's do this, let's do that. You make the final decision. You are our final voice. And that's how we depend on you. So please, don't forget about us, okay? I've looked at the numbers on my own personal home, and fortunately we're still healthy enough to work to make extra money. But those days are going to be waning on us as we get further down the road here. And this last weekend reminded me of that, visiting with a relative who is in that situation now, that all of a sudden their health is gone. And my son just moved to Texas a couple weeks ago. We visited him, and he said, Mom, you would be surprised how many people we've already run into from Kansas who have moved to Texas. And I'm going, I hate to hear that, because Kansas is a nice place. Goddard is a nice place. But as others have said, you know, that's a decision we have to make. Are we going to stay in Goddard? Are we going to stay in Kansas? Or are we going to have to move on? Just please, keep the people in mind. You are our voice. We have no other. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I guess I'll go ahead and round it off with the same topic. But I won't go over some of the same points that a lot of other people made. Tilts to ground. 2413 East Story Court. Like I said, a lot of the other points that I've heard tonight were on my sheet of paper, on my thoughts, on my mind. But there was a couple of things that I didn't hear, and maybe it's because I was busy scrolling through what everybody's saying. My thought is, with the appraisals going up over the last year, why the increase in the levies? With the increase of housing, why the increase? With all these factors, why the increase? And like I said, I acknowledge the fact that you guys were dealt a hand that you didn't necessarily, you received it. You've got to deal with a lot of problems. But then I also go back to the fact that, and I say this respectfully, that when you hear about a 10-year tax abatement, or two of them handed out, or a wave of taxes on revenue for material building, that then you come and say, well, we want 2 more bills, that's a slap in the face. Plain and simple. If you're asking me to give more and do it less, I ask the same. That's it.
Anybody else? No, we'll go ahead and close citizen comments and move on to the agenda. Item E is ex parte. I just want to check with everyone on the council to see if they've had an opportunity or been in a position where they've communicated with someone that would create a conflict that might influence their ability to consider tonight's agenda items and portion. We're all good on that, so. Appointments, item F.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is item F1. This is the appointment to fill the Planning Commission vacancy. So just quick background, Planning Commissioners operate on a 3-year term. Basis where 1/3 of the Planning Commission is being reappointed each year. The Mayor appoints the Commissioners to office and they are confirmed by the governing body. Chris Williams was appointed on December 18th of 2023 to replace Doug Hall. Doug Hall was renewed for a 3-year term before he stepped down in December of 2023. Preston Black has agreed to be considered to be on the Planning Commission, and Mayor Lee is making the recommendation for the City Council to replace Chris Williams' position with Preston Black. This term will expire in December of this year and need to be renewed to another 3-year term since he's filling a position that's existing currently. This is Preston Black, and his family have been in Goddard residents and homeowners since 2006. He and his wife found Goddard to be a great place to raise their son and provide quick and easy access to Wichita. He is grateful to have the opportunity to play a role in the future of Goddard. Preston currently serves on the Mayor's Advisory Board and a Vice President of the Goddard Lions Club. So the recommendations and actions, it is recommended that the City Council approve the Mayor's decision to appoint Preston Black to the Planning Commission. We do have Preston Black here, so he may not want to raise his hand at this point, so we'll pretend he's somewhere with that. Somewhere over here. We did show his picture, so. But do you have anything you want to say? Come on up.
It's not more than 20 minutes, Preston.
I'll try to make it quick. First of all, I'm Preston Black. I wanted to take this time to thank the council, the mayor, and the planning commission for considering me for this position. I also want to thank all those who got up and spoke today. I found that your feedback and insight was very useful. Something we should keep in mind. And I've always had an interest in our city and the growth, and look forward to assisting with that myself. So thank you all, appreciate it.
You and Josh could be twins, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Preston.
So the recommendation and that action following, of course, would be a voice and motion second in effect to approve the mayor's recommendation to appoint Preston Black to the Planning Commission.
I make a motion to approve Preston Black to the Planning Commission.
Second. Third.
Okay, Chris has made the motion, Naomi second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Preston. Appreciate your willingness to serve.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is another appointment to fill a vacancy. This is on the Senior Citizens Advisory Board. Earlier this summer, we had a vacancy come up, and so the plan was that the Senior Citizens Advisory Board solicited applications from the public, from the community to serve in this role. And they reviewed those applications and made a formal recommendation to Mayor Lee to select Deb Dugan to fill this vacancy. This vacant position term expires in beginning of January of 2028. And so the recommendation again is to approve Deb Dugan to serve the vacant board position on the Senior Citizens Advisory Board.
I make the motion to appoint Deb Dugan to fill the vacant position on the Senior Citizens Advisory Board.
Second.
Naomi's made the motion. Aubrey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I don't believe Deb's here, but appreciate her willingness to serve in that capacity. Thank you. Okay. Moving along here. I entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Brent's made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aubrey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. New business. No unfinished business. Maple Tree petitions and resolutions. CFO Brooke Carroll.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item is for the Maple Tree petitions and resolutions, and typically we put this under the consent agenda, but since there is a city cost share in this project, we wanted to pull it out to make it more transparent. So, a little bit of background. These petitions and resolutions aren't any different than really anything you haven't seen before with the other development projects. The petitions are for sanitary sewer line, sanitary sewer pump station, a stormwater drain, paving, water main, and water distribution line. The petitions outline the estimated cost as usual. However, like I mentioned, there is a city cost share component. This is the breakdown of the cost per item. The sanitary sewer is at $900,000. The sanitary sewer pump station is estimated at $399,000. Stormwater drain, $1,295,000. Paving, $1,030,000. Water distribution line, $494,000. And the water main line, $280,000. And I wanted to highlight all of the items are 100% assessed to the district, other than the water main line, which is 23.67% allocated to the city. This is to help with the upsizing from an 8-inch main to a 12-inch main. The city at large cost share is approximately $66,276. Financial considerations, other than the city's cost share component, there are no other costs associated with this project. Everything will be special assessed. These documents have been prepared by bond counsel Gilmer & Bell and reviewed the resolutions. Staff recommends the city council accept the petitions and approve the corresponding authorizing resolutions for each of the improvements. If anybody has any questions. Like I said, these are exactly the same as we've seen with all the other developments. We just wanted to pull it out because there's a city cost share component.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward. Entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to accept the petitions and approve the corresponding authorizing resolution for each of the improvements.
Nobody's made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Aubrey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay. On council, Brett Sjogren. Public hearing number 1.
Public hearing number 1, kick them off. Honorable Mayor and Council, Brett Sjogren with Steeple Public Finance. This is the public hearing and ordinance for special assessment proceedings for Harbor Creek, Big Arm, and Goddard Trails Inn additions. The city previously authorized and temporarily financed improvements to serve Harbor Creek, Big Arm, and Goddard Trails Inn additions, all pursuant to the petitions submitted to the city and authorizing resolutions. The proceedings began the process for approving and imposing special assessments on properties benefiting from particular improvements, and the issuance of general obligation bonds of the city to retire the city's previously issued general obligation temporary notes 2022-2, 2023-1, and 2023-2, and provide long-term finance for those such improvements. These were on the presentation last time for the initial assessments, but these are the projects related to these improvements. I believe there's 16 projects, the usual paving, drainage, water line, water distribution, sanitary sewer, and stormwater drain for those additions I mentioned earlier. And the costs, I believe all of these are 100% to be paid for by the improvement district and then by the city at large. And then more background, on August 4th, the City Council approved the final cost for each project, as well as a statement of final cost for proposed assessments.
The city council scheduled a public hearing as required for tonight, September 2nd. They mailed the notice of public hearing to all the property owners in the improvement district related to these projects and published the notice in the newspaper. Tonight, September 2nd, we need the mayor to open the public hearing to hear any written or oral objections related to the proposed assessments. Once everyone has been heard, the mayor should close the public hearing and the city council will consider an ordinance to authorize levying special assessments on those properties to pay the costs of internal improvements in the city of Goddard. Ignore the final bullet, it's a repeat. But, I would ask the mayor to open the public hearing to hear any objections and anything specific related to their property. We ask that they fill out a card that's at the back of the room to talk about anything specific related to their property. This is more of a general time to speak about the entire project. But if you fill out a card, someone with the administration will get back to you.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing on the Geo Bond 2025A and the corresponding properties. Anyone want to? Any questions about or comments on the conversion of the temporary notes to general obligation bonds, special assessments, as you said? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing.
Okay, and your very smart city administrator pointed something out to me. There is a cost share on project 11. $100,000 to be paid for by the city at large for the water transmission improvements. The rest is to be assessed to the Goddard Trails End property owners. So there is a cost share to that one. I missed that. I saw 100 and I thought that was 100%. Just wanted to make that clear. And now that the public hearing is closed, we need the city council to consider an ordinance that formally applies the special assessments to the property owners. City clerk will mail the notice of assessment to each property owner and the ordinance will be published in the newspaper. Property owners will have until October 3rd of this year to prepay any or all of their special assessment. Any amount not prepaid will be collected in 20 annual installments together with interest after the issuance of the GEO bonds. And if not prepaid, special assessments will be included on tax statements beginning in December of next year. Financially, there's a small publication cost to publish the summary of the ordinance and a small mailing cost, postage cost associated with the mailings to the property owners. Assessment process will eventually lead to and result in the issuance of general obligation bonds to the city at a future meeting to retire those 3 temporary notes I mentioned earlier, to provide long-term finance. And legally, the assessment proceedings have been prepared by Kevin Cowan, your bond counsel, Gilmore and Bell, in accordance with the original petitions and the many authorizing resolutions listed there, as well as KSA 12-6A01 et sec, which is the special assessment statute. Your staff recommends that the city council waive the reading of the ordinance with a voice vote and then adopt ordinance number 1013, which is a roll call vote.
It's a 2-step process.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a recommendation that we waive the reading of ordinance number 1013.
Naomi's made a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance 1013. Do I have a second?
I second.
Krista seconds that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now we need a motion to adopt the ordinance. So I'd like to make a motion.
I make a motion to adopt the ordinance number 1013.
Brent's made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Henry seconds. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Trailer?
Yes.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
Ordinance 1013.
1013. Passed 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next matter.
All right, now is the time for the public hearing and resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate, R&R. That's why a lot of people are here tonight. So, the revenue neutral rate is defined as the mill levy rate that generates the same property tax revenue as the prior year based on current assessed valuation. The county clerk calculates this R&R rate for us by dividing the prior year's property tax revenue by current year's assessed valuation, and then multiplying the results by 1,000 and carries out the decimal point. In 2026, the determination R&R was 32.927 mils, and the assessed valuation was at $87,355,479. This amount of R&R, the 32,929, computed on the 87 million assessed valuation, would compute to 2,876,509 in property tax revenue, and that's the amount that we received in 2025. The 2 mil plus the valuation growth would compute to 3,430,187 in property tax revenue. This is an increase of about 553,600 in new additional taxes. The legal requirements for the R&R is the city must notify Sedgwick County of intent to exceed R&R before adopting the annual budget. We did this back in July. The city has complied, and the notice of proof and publication have been completed, and those are included in Exhibit A. Cities must hold a separate R&R public hearing and adopt a resolution if they intend to exceed the county calculated revenue neutral rate. And as a reminder, which the mayor has already talked about this evening, which I may repeat a lot of the things he says, so forgive me. In 2025, we raised the mill by 6. In 2026, we are proposing an additional 2 mills. We have done projections in our budget workbooks in 2027 for another 2 mills, and then no mills after that. Those are out, and we've done projections out through 2029 or 30, I believe. This is kind of duplicate, but the proposed 2026 budget increase mill levy by 2 mills. The 2025 levy was set at 37.267, meaning that the 2026 levy would be at 39.267. The mill levy is broken out into 3 components: the general fund, debt service fund, and the library fund. So all of those different funds receive a portion of those mills. The general fund receives 33.89, the debt service fund is 2.377, and the library fund receives 3. Financial and legal considerations. I think I've pretty much talked about that. It generates an additional $174,710 in new property tax value before the increase in valuation, which is an additional $379,600. And these mills were set aside and raised for our dedicated for the 5 and 5 Street program. So we are tracking that very, very closely. All of the revenue that comes in for this additional mill levy is set aside in streets, and you will see in the budget presentation later that there's a big transfer to the street fund, and we're keeping track of that. Legal, pursuant to KSA 792988, a resolution must be adopted if the proposed budget will exceed the R&R rate. The statute further requires that a separate R&R public hearing be conducted prior to the adoption of the resolution and before the traditional budget hearing. So, the next steps in this process will be we will need to move to open the R&R revenue neutral rate public hearing by a voice vote. We will leave the public hearing open, and once everybody's had a chance to say any comments, we will make our motion to adopt the resolution to exceed or not to exceed the revenue neutral rate, and then after that is over, we will close the revenue neutral rate public hearing. So at this time,
I'll make a motion to open the revenue neutral rate hearing. Do we have a second? There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those of you that commented about the budget, this is kind of like ditto. We heard you. If you want to come out and if there's anybody else who would like to make any additional comments, you're more than welcome to at this point. So.
Good evening. Sorry, I don't know. Got my name down, sure. Right? That's all right. Trying a little room here. There, excuse me. All right, Corey Durr, 2301 East Summerwood. I'd like to start by saying good evening, honorary mayor and council. I'm Corey Durr. Really, I'd like to just start by saying that I have attended many of the budget hearings, and I know quite a few of you folks here. And I do want to just say that I'm appreciative of the hard work and dedication you guys have put into it, as both staff and council and mayor. And I've seen the hard work in the budget, but I do feel obligated to speak just for my fellow citizens and some concerns that I've heard about the mill increase. I'd like to start by just making some observations about what I've seen over the last few months of attending council and just the budget hearings. On July 21st, I saw they council approved the R1 single family zoning modification to the minimum lot area, which I believe was a good choice for growth. But then on August 18th, they also approved the replatting of Trails Inn, 3rd edition, which I believe was a result of that, which went from 22 lots to 44 lots for single family homes, which again, I think is a good thing for growth, and it shows just ways that we can grow Goddard and increase the amount of single family homes. I'd also like to just say that I noticed on August 4th, we approved the increase to the transient guest tax from 6 to 9%, which I think is a good way to show some additional revenue growth without burdening the citizens of Goddard directly. But as far as concerns on the 2 mil property tax increase dedicated to the 5 and 5 street program, my concern is not only the 2 mills that we're looking at increasing now, but then additional 2 mills in 2026. And I just ask that if we've really exhausted all resources and looked at all levels of the budget to determine if that is really necessary before we burden the citizens of Goddard with the additional mill levies by raising it by 2. One area that I looked, because I did look through all of the budget as closely as I could. I'm not a financial expert by any means, but I did notice that as we've set up additional funds, one requirement that we've set for those funds is a 25% reserve requirement. And I just asked myself and maybe the council, if when setting up additional funds, you're setting up additional requirements for this 25% for an annual spend. So by creating more funds, you're also creating more reserves that you have to come up with. And if that 25% really makes sense up front for each new fund, or if that's something we could potentially leverage a 5-10% for the first year, work our way up to 20, work our way up to 25. Is there other ways that we could look for more efficient ways other than burdening the citizens with a mill levy increase at this time? With that, I think that's pretty much all I had. So appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's John Barnes. I'm on Elk Ridge. My family and I have been here for over 20 years. We made the decision to move to Goddard, to move to the big city from southeast Kansas and start our adventure. I've had 7 children here. Got one of them back there patiently. He's number 6. And I say that because we've been a committed member of Goddard. In 2019, my wife and I fulfilled our dream, which was to build our own custom home that we saved money for, that we budgeted for, that we planned for over 5 years. We postponed it, and then eventually got to where we felt like we had the funds, that we were safe financially, that we were making good, sound decisions for our future and our kids' future. Well, we built the house in 2019. Since then, that house has doubled in value, and we've doubled our taxes. So, from my perspective, you guys already have your raise. And it's a unique position within government when the rest of us here, and you ladies and gentlemen too, right? None of you are making a livable wage on city council. I actually investigated it, and I decided quickly that I don't have the time to commit to something for basically free. So I appreciate what you guys are doing when I say that, right?
I second that.
But I say that in the aspect of everybody here in this room budgets their family and their expenses not on what I can ask from somebody else, but on what I have. And it is your responsibility as the city council to budget on what you have. If we need to generate more revenue, then maybe we need to do things like encourage businesses that generate sales tax that is not a direct burden on the homeowners. But we're not going to do that if we price ourselves out of a place where people want to live or want to establish their business. I've heard it from this organization and other people, well, Mays, Andover, Derby, we're all in the same budget. But guess what they have? Shopping centers, restaurants. They have places that people want to go to. And although I love Genesis, right? I frequent Russ's facility at Ace, but we have very few outside of 4 coffee shops, which are very good coffee shops, but we don't have anything here. And maybe that needs to be the city's focus, is how do we bring revenue in by bringing tax dollars in, by bringing people to Goddard to spend their money here, instead of removing it from the people who have been committed here. Because ultimately what you're going to happen, and it probably won't be this council's problem, it'll be the problem that you create for the next council, is when half of the people here leave. And you're stuck with rental homes and very little income. So why don't we invest in businesses, bring people here and generate tax revenue the way Mays does, the way Andover does, the way Derby does. I think that would be a better suggestion than to just go and say, I need more money. Give me more money. It's not a fair approach, it's not a practical approach, and it's not a long-term approach. It's going to leave this city broke and destitute in the long term. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Come on, guys. Another left hand.
We're in our right minds. Russ Lowen, 19894 West Kellogg Drive. Prior to more mills, I would ask, or any other mill increases, you know, 2 now, 2 later, or any other time, I would ask you to take a look at what's going on in other communities, the county in particular, where they're lowering mills. Why? I met with some of our county commissioners and other city officials from other cities, and their answer was simple, and it kind of is humbling. We have more rooftops, whether it's commercial or whether it's residential. They changed the multiplier. It's simple math. That's how it was presented to me, and I took it at face value. That said, before you vote to increase another single mill levy, I would ask you to be able to answer honestly, how many rooftops, whether it's industrial, business, restaurants, housing, how many more rooftops are necessary to equate to 2 mills? And go pursue it. Go make that happen, or enable that to happen. How many more would that take? Maybe look at things a little differently. I'm a big benefactor of the road work that's been done. It was painful getting through it. I hated it. I like it now. So there's got to be balance in there somewhere, and it's not easy. But do we look at 5 and 5, or do we say maybe 5 and 6? Maybe put a tweak on that where we can digest within our own means what we already currently have as our financial resource pool. Instead of lowering the pool of finances at the kitchen table of everybody who lives in this community, to raise another level of financial wherewithal. I think what you're hearing from a lot of people here is we need to look at things maybe a little differently, or challenge what we're doing. Long term, you guys got dealt a very crappy hand. At the end of the day, it took 12 years to get to the roads that we have. When I say 12 years, it's an educated number that there's a lot that didn't happen for a long time. You didn't have anything to do with it. But I look at each and every one of you to fix it. It's not free though. And everybody needs to realize it's not free. It's not easy. But I think you're getting some pretty strong feedback of how big, how tall, how wide, how soon, how fast can this happen. And maybe take another look at that. Maybe take a step back at what those numbers actually mean. I can tell you what I pay in taxes is it's extreme. I don't always see the complete and total value in that. Those are toughies. But I find a way to make it work. I work harder, I work smarter. I want everyone to be doing the same. Not that you're not, but sometimes the answer needs to be no. And I think tonight you're at that precipice of no. No more mills until we can make some tweaks. And then make the case. Come on, tell us if we don't do these mills today, the ones you're going to vote on tonight, and then next year and the year after that, what's going to fall out of the sky as a result of that? What stops? What are the streets going to fall off the face of the planet? Probably not. Will they be crappy? Probably so in different places. But really, what's the damage if we slow it up a bit and live within the financial means that we have currently in place? Thank you for your time.
Amanda Treadwell, 410 Richard Road in Goddard, and then also 206 North Main Street, as a business owner. So I come to you with both hats on from a residential perspective and a business perspective. I'm about data and numbers, I'm about facts. It's not just a 2 mil increase. It's what the domino effect of a 2 mil increase does and how it compacts on everything else. It's a 2 mil increase added to property valuations increasing. It's a 2 mil increase on top of rising insurance costs. It's a 2 mil increase on top of water increases that we're going to continue to have. It's a 2 mil increase on top of a possible bond coming for the school district again. So when you compound all of that, it's overwhelming, and that's why it's pricing out people. From having to move out of the area, from having real estate knowledge, people are moving outside of Goddard because they're getting priced out. That's why you see a lot of the more expensive homes up for sale. And you'll start to see that where people have to downsize. Well, the problem is as they downsize, a lot of our homeowners that are on a fixed income can't go anyplace else out of their homes because there's nothing else for them smaller to downsize in, which means they have to move out of the area or they stay put, and those other people that are looking to downsize have to go someplace else. So we're going to continue to lose people, and that's factual information from people that are moving, that they're having to move because they're getting priced out. Also, to my knowledge and to my research, we are the only city increasing our mill levy. Everybody else is decreasing or staying the same this year, based upon my research. Even the county decreased, and the reason they're decreasing is because they've heard their taxpayers and the struggles and the stress that it's causing on them right now because of this compacting issue where all of this is happening at the same time. And it's overwhelming and it's too much. And it's not just impacting one particular income level, it's impacting all income levels. And when we look at it, and when I look at it, it's $174,710,000. And I've been to these budget meetings. I've been to almost every meeting either in person or online. And I appreciate the $902,000 cuts that was made in the budget to get to where we are now. I just asked you to find another $174,000. It's there. It's possible. Does it take a little bit more work? Yes, but we can find it versus putting that $174,000 burden on our taxpayers. And I think that's worth the time to take to look for it and find where we can make that cut. My understanding is that 2 mil increase goes to the 5 and 5, our streets, our water and sewer and infrastructure there, which is a very notable project. And my question, my concern is like Russ said, it didn't take us 5 years to get where we are. It took decades. So is it realistic for us to try to fix it in 5 years? Can that go out to 6 years? Can it go out to 7 years? I don't know what that looks like. I do not envy your jobs. I do not definitely envy Brooke's job. I looked at that whole budget packet and I'm still overwhelmed by all of those numbers and don't know what they all mean. But I'm diving into to try to have a better understanding. And from what I see, like, you know, there's 140K, I think, extra in salaries and 87,000 extra budgeted for overtime. So question is, what is that for, and could that be somewhere where we can shape them? Could it be another vehicle? I don't know what the answer is. All I'm asking is, as my council members ask more questions to take a deeper dive into that budget and help find the 174,000. If we have to have that, can we find it someplace else to cut back on versus making the burden go on the taxpayers, because that to me is an easy way out. And the other thing is I know the frustration comes from that there were so many of these budget meetings that happened, and I know for a fact being there wasn't a lot of people there. And I think that's because we weren't transparent enough. I think there was an opportunity for us to come out and be a little bit more transparent and say, your taxes are going up, come to these budget meetings and know why. Because just talking to a few residents and putting it out on social media, 90-some% of these taxpayers did not know their taxes were coming up, or going up. We have to be more transparent in that aspect. I get it, we put it out there as budget meetings. I'm frustrated too that people don't show up, but if we're more transparent and in layman terms, and spell it out to them, I think you'll get more people to come in and more people to express, what their concerns on and how it's actually impacting them. The other thing that I want to say is that, again, numbers wise. So looking at my own tax evaluation, just from the mill levies going up last year, my monthly payment, because remember it's taxes and insurance, like everything's going up, your home valuation, everything. So everything compacted to increase my monthly payment by $155.03. That's a lot. So when I say it's not just what we're doing here, but it's how it's compacting to everything else and adding to the complication and adding to the burden. And then when you look at the building I just purchased, my current tax bill right now is $6,442. If you increase the valuation that will go up, because I just purchased it more than the tax value, and you increase it by the 2 mills, it will go from the $6,442 to almost $9,000 in the next few years. I can't raise my rent enough to cover that. So again, compacting domino effect. So the increase that we're adding to our business owners then carries down to the renters who are bringing small businesses to Goddard, who are trying to liven up our community and liven up our Main Street and other areas. And eventually that tax burden is going to weigh more and more to where it is not affordable for a business to open up here. It's not affordable for somebody to build a home here. Because if we look at some of the other areas, they're coming down to where we're going up to where we're not going to be that cheaper place anymore. And the school is going to be raising it. They're on this list too, and I'll be going to that meeting as well to understand why that's going up. But we know that our schools are going to have to increase because we have all these new homes coming up. So I think we need to look at how we can pull back on our city side to allow that to happen, to where it's not going to be such a burden where you have city and schools all going at the same time. Another thing is, can we look at prioritizing the CIP projects? I mean, I don't know, like I said, I don't know where the answer is. All I know to me is $174,000 and almost I think it's like a $7 million general budget is not a lot of money. So can we find that cut somewhere? And again, back to the rest of the question. What would have to happen to find that money someplace else? And if we didn't approve the mill levy increase, which I'm asking you not to do, what's the worst that would happen? Would the work on the street stop? Would something not happen anymore? I don't know. I'm asking that question. Like, what would happen if we did not approve the mill levy? Because when we say yes to the $174,000 increase, we're saying no to our taxpayers, which is being interpreted as that our challenges and our struggles are not as important than the $174,000 that we're gaining from this mill levy increase. So again, I ask you to vote no. I know it's not an easy no. I know there's a lot going on. I don't feel that it's too late to reduce the budget. Yes, it requires more work, but we wouldn't have these meetings scheduled like this for public hearing if there wasn't an opportunity still to change the decision and to relook at the budget. So, and again, I thank you for all of your guys' hard work, because if anybody, I know it, but I have to advocate for myself as a business owner and a community member, because I do want to stay here and I don't want to get priced out, and advocate for all of those seniors and others that are going to get priced out too, because I want to make sure that our community stays as great as it is, but not at the expense of trying to go too fast or not looking for creative ways to be able to do that. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Sure.
I have a question. Bob Copeland, I live in the Seasons. Like I said, I'm a real estate investor and a contractor. By the way, my contractor's license and my liability insurance I pay a year. It's going to be what I'm paying an increase on my property. on the mill levy that's being proposed. And that's almost fine. However, saying that, as a real estate investor, I should have an answer that I don't have. Before COVID, I bought over 100 homes. I kept 50 of them for long-term investment. They took and they say flipping. I was buying for resale before flipping was even popular. But before COVID, the properties that were being bought, that I bought and that I sold, the properties then were about 50 cents on the dollar what they are today. Since COVID, I haven't been able to make any money in real estate because the properties are in the trees as far as price-wise goes. Having said that, that means property general taxes are up there in the trees as well. So what happened? How did everybody be able to get by before COVID with some increases? And after COVID, when properties doubled and taxes, general taxes doubled, and now we've got to get even more out of the mill levy. Am I wrong, or is one mill worth $1 per 1,000? In other words, if you have a $250,000 house on 2 mil, is that $500 a year more?
It's a little complicated than that, because the mill levy is made up of 4 different parts. You got the county, the rural fire district.
But I mean, as a personal.
Right, but about 1 mil, what is it, 31 cents goes to the city out of each dollar?
Closer to 20, 25.
25 cents. So 25 cents out of every dollar that you pay in property tax goes to the city.
So when I go to close on this house, and we do a projected tax for the next buyer, that's going to be what it is as far as Sedgwick County property tax, plus another 5% if they're in the city of Garden, right?
I'm just not tracking your math.
Mayor, I'd suggest we don't entertain two-way dialogue, or else we'll have to do that with everyone, and we'll be here all night.
Okay. Well,
We'd be glad to set up an appointment with you afterwards and answer all the questions that you have.
Okay, you know, respectfully, I can afford it. But I really have I don't even know anybody here in Goddard, really. But here's the thing. I think about the retired people, the people that are fixed income, and they're going to have to pay for this that they didn't ask for. And I know that there's going to be a surplus of income coming off Sedgwick County taxes on all the thousands of homes that are being built in the Goddard School District. So the numbers don't work. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thanks, Bob.
Anyone else? Hearing none, I just want to make a few comments. I've lived here for 27 years. In 27 years, one time in the 27 years, the city ran a little bit of tar on the streets around my house. The streets in Old Town are the point where we can either grind them up to gravel, I've said this more than once, and be like Conway Springs. No offense to Conway Springs. But even Conway Springs in the last year has instituted a sales tax and raised some property tax to pay for their streets. The 2 mil increase without the corresponding raise in property valuation on a $300,000 house is $70 a year. It's about 1.5%. The problem that we have, and you've alluded to it, is that we've come out of a period of high inflation, very much like the early 1980s. Through 1979 and 1982, we had stagnant wages and high inflation. And what happens in those environments is people's purchasing power erodes. And that's what's happened since COVID. And I know you guys kind of know that's not our fault, but it creates a pressure not only on us individually, but it also puts pressure on the cities. And I think we're at a point right now, like in 82, 81, inflation's come down, real wages for the first 6 months of the year are increasing. There's a trajectory that we're moving into that the next 4 or 5 years, real wage growth will exceed inflation. And when that if you follow that curve historically over 50 or 100 years, inflation goes up, wages trail behind, wages get a little closer, inflation goes up. It's an ever-moving curve. And when that shrinks, it makes things more affordable for everybody. So my hope is, and my thought is that this next year, when properties are evaluated, we're not going to see 9% increases in valuations. Housing market's kind of on the high end. Things are a little, prices are not moderating, but they're not increasing like they have been. So hopefully we're moving into a situation going forward that the amount of property tax or the valuation increase individually won't be as large. So the second issue that we have is we're in this growth path of Wichita, and we can either freeze. If we don't do anything, Wichita's going to grow right around us. They already have north of Maple, that little duplex division there past the mobile home park on 167th Street. That's Wichita. So we don't do anything, they're just going to build around us. So the nature of this area is going to change whether we change with it or not. Part of raising this mill levy at this point is so that in the outer years we're able to meet the obligations for the North Park, for the Public Works facility, and the water treatment plant. Or not water treatment, but the water utility bond. So, I mean, there's a lot of thought that's gone into this, so that in the out years, so if we don't do anything this year, we wait 3 or 4 years, there's going to have to be another jump. And I think we're at a point where, with the plan that we have, if we go up 2% this year, if we went up 2% next year, then on those out years, we'll be able to maintain and get the things done. The 5 years of street projects, when that rolls off, that revenue, part of that revenue will probably be used to help finance debt service. So we can wait and then raise the, and drag this out. The street program, we can go another 5 or 6 years, but that money will move into a situation where we can take that money and help pay for the things that we're wanting in terms of public works. I mean, everybody wants a new police station. Everybody wants a new senior center. Everybody wants a library. I mean, we can cut the budget indiscriminately. I mean, it's not hard. Say, okay, we'll just cut the mill levy for the library by 2. The library operates on 1 mill and runs 20 hours a week. We can do that. People aren't going to be happy if we do that. We gave $40,000 to the senior center. We could cut that. What are the people in the senior center going to do? I mean, we're trying to be prudent about a really tough situation, and everybody, we want new businesses. The John Deere dealership out here, we gave a property tax abatement for that facility. But when they open that thing, they're going to be paying sales tax over there. There's going to be revenue generated. And if we don't give the property tax abatement to those people, they're not going to build here. I mean, so it's a but-for. You give up 10 years worth of property tax, you pick up the sales tax revenue for the 10 years, and after the 10 years, they start paying like everybody else does. We've got other projects in this community that are on that dime. We've got the Star Bond District. There's over $600,000 worth of 1 cent sales tax that's flowing into the Star Bond payments. That's going to be eliminated one of these days. So that revenue will help facilitate payment for the other things that we have here. All the sales tax at Walmart goes to the Star Bond District. So there's opportunity in that, but we've got to be patient. We can do these things, we can fix the streets, we can have nice things in Goddard. When I first came on here a year and a half ago, first meeting I said 42 and 31. 42 was the mill levy of Mays, and 31 was the mill levy of Goddard. The reason why we don't have streets taken care of is because we pressed that mill levy down and done without. We're going to 39. We're still below Mays' mill levy. Mays just finally put in a 1 cent sales tax. That 1 cent sales tax, if you look at the budget numbers, has allowed us to really do some of the things we've done. We've got nice parks. We spent money on, nice things on that end. People like that. That park's full every day. So we want quality of life. We want to have some, but we've got to fix the infrastructure. And if we get that done first, then we continue to work on and keeping our streets in A and B ranges as opposed to letting them go to D-. I've got weeds growing up in front of my house on Spruce. I mean, you might as well just grind it up right now. I need to take the weed eater to it just so that, you walk on it, you trip over it. It's hard. I mean, I don't think I'm not a fixed income. These four all work. They pay taxes too. I mean,
this has been,
go ahead, I'm done.
This has been something we've been discussing for a long time, and this is a long time coming. I've been in this seat for 4 years. From day one, and one of the reasons why I came here is I want more amenities here. I love Goddard. And I heard that comment a while ago, is that we need to have more of the amenities that like Derby has, Mays has. They have shopping center. It takes density to do that. I think we're going through a growth spot, growing pains, if you may, because we've been so stagnant for decades in Goddard. There has to be a growth spurt sometime. The infrastructure, those of you from aircraft, you build quality from within. So the things and the roles we're taking to pay for these things, for the infrastructure, you have to do it right. You have to put in the right structure for the roads, the right sewage, the lines, and all that costs money, but I know we've been talking about this for several years. This isn't something that we just decide to do overnight and by a whim. We're your neighbors. We're absorbing those costs as well. Heard the reference to Texas, that's my home state. I've been here 15, 20 years. I'm still not used to the state taxes in Kansas. It wears me out. So a lot of the burdens that we carry in this state, doesn't exist in Texas where that reference was a while ago. But the property is not the equivalent. But we have personal property taxes, we have state income tax. So there's a lot of other things, other factors there that put pressure on us as families trying to support a family and staying in the place we want to stay. But I think, just long term is density. We have to have the density in order for those businesses to want to invest in our community. So I see that a point where we're making these hard decisions now. In a few years, we can lower the mill levy. You can see taxes starting to come down because of the density and then all the revenue we're generating. So we're really kind of making these decisions for future generations. Sometimes it's painful at the moment, but in the long term, and for the long-term growth of our community, they'll look back and go, man, I'm glad you guys made that decision, if we happen to go that way. But this isn't an easy job. And, we recommended we get a big raise. Will they you? That ain't gonna happen. But, it's hard to sit up here in these chairs and I feel all the emotion a lot of you guys projected. I'm right there with you. But it's just like, I got an aircraft background, and I know that if I'm going to put quality aircraft up in the air, I gotta build that quality from within. We build into that aircraft to build quality, and that's what we're doing for the city, because it hadn't been done in a long time.
Any other comments?
I would just say, that it looks like it's just the streets, but the 5 and 5 program, which is where this mill levy will go, I will say that, first of all, it's been a very long time since we invested in our infrastructure. So if you notice, when they're tearing up the streets, they're not just tearing up the streets and replacing the streets, they're also replacing all the water main lines. The study that was done, that we evaluated on the water committee, also showed that if we don't replace those lines, the water pressure in Goddard will significantly go down, and we already have areas in Goddard where the fire hydrants, because of the water pressure and the water lines not being up to date, aren't going to work. There's not very many places, and that they all work. Sorry, I shouldn't say that they don't work, but with the addition of the new homes, they will, decrease in work without replacing those water lines. So that 5 and 5 program, it's two things at once, right? It's also replacing the water lines as well as the streets, which we absolutely have to do. We have to spend money on the infrastructure of the city in order to keep it safe and in order to ensure that everybody has the quality of life that they want with the water pressure. I live in Old Goddard too. I live over on Spruce, right? My property taxes since I moved in has absolutely doubled. And then it quartered again, 25% this year again, because they tax me different for my garage than for my house, right? So I get two things increasing all at the same time. So I have to pay those taxes too, and I don't want to pay them. I mean, who does? But I love the city, and I know that it's tough going through these growth streaks that we're kind of going through, and I would love for businesses to come here, but I'll tell you that the businesses that we've tried to recruit, that I know Micah has spent a lot of time to try to get restaurants here, to try to get businesses here, they won't come here unless there's a certain amount of rooftops and doors. They just won't come. And so that's why you see the growth that's happening. It has to happen in order for the businesses to come. All the things that we hear that people want, I want those things too. But we can't have them unless we have doorknobs, because they literally ask how many doors they do study, and they were like, we can't come until we have X amount of doors, which is why you see us growing. Because we want to give everybody what they want, and this is tough. This is, my heart, like I'm literally up here shaking, and I'm hot, because I don't, like, it's just tough. It's tough to sit up here and make these decisions and know and listen for the last year as we create this budget and know what we have to do. And I've been dreading this day for a really long time, just so y'all know. But I feel like we're out of place, that we have to, but I can't say I know that we're supposed to raise the mill levy again next year. That's a kind of in the plan. So I want to be very transparent about that right now, right? And so as you come, what we really need is for everybody to come to those budget meetings that we're going to have, and that we're going to post again the whole calendar of dates, and to help us look for places that we can decrease the budget so that we can maybe not increase the mill levy again next year. I would love for all of you to come and see the budget process and to help us find that money next year and where to cut it, because when we have engagements, everybody wants something. Everybody comes to the table and they want this and they want that, and we're trying to get all the things that the community that shows up to those events wants. They want a North Park, they want new senior center, they want all of these things, and so we're trying to provide that, but we're looking at the budget going, we can't do that unless we do this. So I would love for all of you to show up at those budget meetings and provide input as you can next year, so that maybe together we can find that 2 mills that we don't have to do it next year.
That's all.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I don't want to be out of turn. Can I briefly explain how mill levies are calculated?
Sure, that'd be great. Just for general knowledge.
Yeah, just so, I mean, because it is a calculation. But homes are assessed at 11.5% of their fair market value. So a $100,000 home is $11,500 in assessed value. And is it Bob?
Yes.
You're exactly right. It's $1 per thousand of assessed value. So basically, a mill is $11.50 for every $100,000 of home you have.
Well, praise God,
So,
because I get the numbers, that's why I'm here.
yeah,
I like that information.
Okay, I thought it was important to know how it's calculated.
I even asked the security title. Okay, thank you.
I'll do this for a living, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So your example, $250,000 home is,
I might just hang around in the seasons now.
well, there you go.
Because I was just looking at 500 and 1,000 a year more.
But two mills is basically $23 a year per $100,000 of home. It's not
Thank you for clearing that up.
But I just thought that was important. Commercial properties is set at 25%, basically $25 for every $100,000 of commercial property. But that's how mills are calculated.
Thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome. I hope that's helpful.
And I would never ever doubt Bob's math skills. I've known him for a number of years.
Hey, the math was right. I mean, you know.
Mayor, I might recommend that you
Keep it
see if anyone else in the audience would like to speak while the hearing's still open, and then we consider the resolution,
Okay.
and then close the hearing. We still do have the 2026
Yeah, we got
traditional
two things
budget
to do.
hearing,
Yeah, we got more.
and if other council folk would like to speak too, there'll be plenty of opportunity within that as well.
All right. With that said,
Like speaking the last time,
no,
sorry.
that's going to
So hearing everybody, I do appreciate the back and forth. Part of me is disheartened because it kind of seems like everybody's already made up their mind when it comes to voting. We didn't really hear out everyone. And I don't know, I like chess, not very good at chess, but sometimes I win. And I would like to think that the argument, there's a rebuttal for everything. You guys can rebuttal me, I can rebuttal you, we can agree, we can disagree. That's the beautiful thing about this country. That's what I fought for in this country. I love it. But if you want to play chess, and the growth from Wichita coming, and restaurants saying that they're not going to build here because there's not enough people, well, the growth of Wichita coming closer to us can also help us, not just hinder us. So you got to think about that. Also, when it comes to the taxes and the bonds, just like Amanda said earlier, you know, eventually the school is going to come out with another bond. You know, it's going to be $150 million this time instead of 196. You know, and the mill levies, as you were saying, it's based on assessments. You know, so how often do those go up? It's going to be continuous, right? And then another thing that I heard that I was kind of digesting was there's going to be another two mill levy increase in 2026, and then there's nothing, no more. And then there was a subtle until maybe 2029, 2030. They don't have anything planned until then, right? It's always until then, until then, until then. So I would like to just digress back to my previous statement and hope you guys hear from actual statistics when it comes to realty, especially just from Amanda's background. You're going to force people out, and I just wanted to hear that. I had you guys hear that one last time. I am in agreement with all of you. I am in agreement with everybody in this crowd. It sucks to be you guys. I hate that with a passion, and I hate that for you guys. Like I said, we'll stay with you guys. You know, I have seen phenomenal things from you guys. I really have. But I just hope you hear and really, like I said, play chess. As Russ said, what would absolutely kill us if we said no today? Would it actually kill us? Would it hurt us? I don't think so. But then again, like I said prior, I've only played chess a couple of times. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your service, brother.
Anybody else?
If I can have one more minute?
Sure, I'll give you a minute. It's only 8:45.
Just kind of going back to the comment and listening to you guys, you know, I do appreciate it, right? And I know you guys are in a tough spot, but it's no different than me as a father, right? I chose to be a father of 7, and I chose to navigate the responsibilities to say, yes, we can do this, and no, we can't. No, I'm sorry, this will be the 3rd year we're not going to take a family vacation. No, I'm sorry, you wrecked your truck, I can't fix it right now because my taxes have gone up $1,000. And it's not just that, but that's the example, right? You know, I live right across where they want to put the park. That would be great, but to be honest, I don't care about the dang park. I don't care about the signs that were put up all over Goddard. My personal opinion is that was the biggest waste of our money. We don't have to have everything that everybody wants. And you guys, in your elected positions, unfortunately have to make that tough decision. And I appreciate it, but I think if you listen to everybody that's here, this is not the time. And I understand your conversations about Wichita's growth. I understand, and I'm the one that wanted, more businesses to come. I understand that. But it needs to happen in its natural way, not in a forced effort, cramming down things that we can't afford just because it's what we want. As a parent, I have to say no. And as city council members, you have to really evaluate whether or not we should be saying no. And maybe it's not the roads that we need to say no to. Maybe it is some of the other stuff that we have. And I bet you if you pull back the onion a little bit deeper, and I apologize, I haven't been to the budget meetings. I want to be more involved. I'm just gone too much. Because I've got to put food on my table. So think about it really. Is this the year that it has to happen? Or is it, this is the year we really want it to happen? Because those are two completely different stories. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
One more. Just one more.
30 seconds.
It's,
Go.
I'm just saying.
Stand up. Go ahead.
My leg went to sleep. Anyways, I'm a numbers guy. Been in business. I never had a job. I've been self-employed all my life. Minimum, if you're not going to do away with it, split the difference. 1%.
There you go.
Okay.
One more. I want to reiterate what I said last week. And I think I hear this. Keep having people come to us and say, oh, it's just this much. Oh, it's just this much. And as a parent, I know many of you probably know, it's tough to say no. Especially the younger they are, the less they understand. So, if you're the voice of us, what would the vote be right now? That's all I'm asking.
Unfortunately, we're the voice of the whole citizenry, not just the people in the room. And for every one of you that said one thing, I've had other people tell me the exact opposite. That's what makes this really fun. And I think for me, I'm going to vote for this because I'm taking a longer term view than just this 1 year. This is part of the 5-year plan. You can shake your head, that's my opinion. That there's been a lot of thought going to this. If we follow the direction we've set right now, we'll be well positioned to do the things that come and follow in that 10-year CIP. It's hard for me at the first year of the CIP that we're blinking over 2 mills. I'm sorry. On my house, I'm gonna pay another $70. I pay $4,000 a year in tax. I've been retired for 2 years. And I know money's hard. My wife comes home and we talk about what it costs at the grocery store. We're all feeling it. But the one thing I want to say is that we tend to look at valuation backwards. The constant is the property. My parents bought a house in 1960, $15,000. We sold it in 2014 for $150,000. We didn't make $135,000. What that really meant was that our dollar is now worth a dime. The purchasing power of our currency is what the big issue is. And the increases in the property valuations are because of that. And that creates a hardship on everybody. So anyway, that's my final comment. We need to vote on this unless anyone else has anything else they want to say. So I will make a motion to adopt the resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I made the motion, Aubrey seconds. All those in favor? Roll call, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Who seconded, sorry?
Aubrey did. Vice Mayor.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Trailer?
No.
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
Revenue rate, that passes 4-1. Very good.
No, we need to move to close the hearing now.
I'll make a motion to close the revenue neutral rate hearing.
Second.
Aubrey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next.
Time for the public hearing and adoption of the 2026 budget. So just to give a background before we go into the public hearing for the budget, I wanted to provide, a lot of this has already been said tonight, kind of a background of what happened during our budget season. This I feel was very collaborative and transparent. We invited the public numerous times to all the different budget meetings that we had. The governing body was at these meetings, our staff was at these meetings. And this all began in early January with our audit prep, our auditor field work, with the kickoff, and also we reviewed our utility rates. So we wanted to make sure that our rates were where they needed to be for all the different enterprise funds. March through April, we had personnel planning. This was very extensive, and we had meetings with each one of our department heads, going through each one of the different departments, funds, budgets. We actually went through every single line item in our accounting system and looked to see what was going into those line items. We worked really hard to find items that we could cut, things that we had paid for that are just kind of an annual subscriptions, and found things that we could eliminate. We also made cuts from the department's requests. The department heads came in with different things that they were wanting to purchase, and we found ways to either postpone or eliminate costs altogether. May through June, we continued these department head meetings, and we really focused on the capital improvement plan and our long-range forecast. So for the first time in a long time, the city of Goddard has a 10-year capital improvement plan that went through over 18 months of planning with consultants determining what our major needs were. Governing body gave input. We had community engagement events to kind of prioritize things. It's been shuffled and changed around numerous times to determine what we were going to do over the next 10 years and specifically for 2026. July through August, we held 4 council work sessions available to the public, and we advertised those, and these were to help the council refined strategic initiatives. And then in August of 2025, or this year, yes, this August, we held our community engagement event for resident feedback, where we held an event at the community center, and we also provided an online Google survey to everybody that goes to Facebook. Out of that survey taken, we had 20 people respond to that data. So just letting you know that. In my presentation last council meeting, there was a review of all of the information that was received from those 20 people that responded to the survey. The council work sessions, I want everybody to know that we reviewed with the council all of the funds, all of the revenue line items, all of the expenses, and did fund balance projections. We reviewed forecasts, utility and infrastructure plans, and we prioritized